Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the part of the world. Welcoming you here today. I'm really excited to talk about Power Up Nursing, about the power that nurses have, the power that nurses can tap into, how they can do that. And I have an absolutely exciting guest here, Tanya Abreu, with us. Welcome, Tanya. I'm really excited.
Hey, I am so happy to be here with you, Lillian.
Yes. I think I want to introduce you. And when I think of everything that you do, I mean, you're the curator of the Power Up event that we're going to be talking about,
Mhm.
the Power Up Nursing event. But you're a lot more than that. You have your marketing background, you've got your teaching background, you have, and you've got just like I said, a jambalaya of interesting things. So maybe you can introduce yourself a little bit more than I could. That would be great.
Oh, Lillian, thank you. I mean, I think the traditional way to introduce me is a healthcare marketing expert, right? I've
Mhm.
been introduced as a healthcare ambassador. I mean, all kinds of crazy things. But
Yeah.
what I've done for the past 35 years of my life is taken the power of words. My PhD coursework was in English, language, writing, creative writing, and be able to take language and convert people from being aware of things to taking action.
Mhm.
And so I went from teaching at the university to working at the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center at McGee Women's Hospital. And I began an international development program there in women's health, helping educate women and practitioners in the former Soviet Union on more humane and more wellness centered medical health care. So that's how I started. And the past 35 years, flash forward really, has been about working for hospitals. I had my own company for about 16 years called Spirit of Women, Spirit of Health Group, where we helped over 250 hospitals learn to talk to women differently, learn to help hospitals understand that women are so much more than their body parts, so much more than procedures, and that hospitals are women by women. So that's where my love of nursing started.
Hmm.
Women are really the energy and the healing of every hospital in the United States because they still make up 85% plus of the nursing population. So that's how I got here many, many years later. Of course, always engaged and enamored in women's health and community health, but also these days with my own company, helping startups, many of which involve nurses, accelerate and
Mhm.
become a part of mainstream healthcare. So I'm
Mhm.
Tanya Abreu, and
True. Yes.
I just think healthcare should be ridiculously easy. That's my purpose.
Yes. And what I love about what you're saying is that there are people like yourself and myself, I'm going to include myself in this, that see these nurses as powerful and unbelievable. And what we're here to do, I believe, is to call them forth to see it in themselves. I really
Mm.
think that's so important. We don't there's such a place, I know in my experience with coaching them, that it gets to a place where they're beating themselves up. They're making themselves wrong. They're not stepping into the power that they have because they're tired. They're exhausted. And we need to find a way to help them find themselves in that.
Hmm.
What's your thought?
And I love, I love how you said that they are power sources. I mean, when I think back on, my very first caregiver in my whole life was a nurse. And
Mm,
she was my first source of attention and love. And she's a nurse. Once a nurse, always a nurse, like Leanne
yes,
Meyer says
that's
on her
right.
show. But what I learned professionally is that if you needed to go behind the scenes to really get things to happen, you went to a nurse.
Yeah.
And it could be a nurse that was the CNO, or it could be the nurse that was in charge of the unit, or honestly, it could have been an LPN that was with the patient all the time.
Yeah.
When you want it, and I'm talking professionally, but I'm also talking when my mother lay dying. I'm
Yes.
also talking about any situation in life where you need help now. You need
Yes.
something to change now. In healthcare, it's always been a nurse. And
Mm.
I don't care whether, and we've both been around enough to
Yes.
remember when this was all male dominated, also in the administrative wings as well as in leadership of the clinical world. And even then, I didn't know very many physicians that didn't say, I can't do this. Go find the nurse. I
Yes.
don't know how to get this done.
Yeah.
So why? I guess I asked this to you, Lillian.
Yeah.
Why, after all these years, and for me, 3 decades of watching nurses run things, why do they never claim recognition for it? Like, where's
Yeah.
the
Yeah. I think what you're pointing to, very interesting that you're saying this, because this is one of the things that I really work on is, you know, it's very difficult, or let's say it's more challenging. I want to say it's not difficult. It's just more challenging to do things alone. We know that ourselves, being in business, in our own business, right? And what
Mhm.
do we do?
Oh, I've lost you. I can't hear you. Lillian, I can't hear you. You're on mute.
Oh, I don't know what happened there. There, I'm back. Yes, thank you. It's always great to have a co-host because at the end of the day, I'd be talking for the next 40 minutes on my own. But what I'm pointing to is really building community. We need community. And sometimes we're just tired after the end of a shift or, after whatever, right? But the community is what builds us up. We find our community in families, but we need to find our community also amongst our professionals. Very, very important. I don't know what you do, Tanya, for your support, but I know we've both leaned in with Leanne, with Nurses Transforming Healthcare, with other groups that we belong to, but we look for the support in community to allow us to brainstorm, to vent to a certain degree, and then move into action. That's key. That's really key. What's your thought on that?
It's interesting because I just woke up at 5:30 this morning to a post by Kathleen Bartholomew, one of the
Yeah.
most visionary minds in nursing and beyond. And she pointed out the condition of loneliness, but also alienation and isolation, post pandemic, and how the U.S. Surgeon General basically said this is probably one of, if not the leading risk factor for chronic disease and early death in the United States,
Yeah.
is this sense of not being in a community, not fitting in, not being included, not having a voice. And now I'm listening to you, and I'm thinking, I think the nurses deliberately, maybe this is also women in general, have been deliberately kept away from the tables of power, even though they've made everything happen, in order for them not to be able to claim it, right?
Uh-huh.
So when we feel isolated, when we feel alone, when we feel alienated, we can't go and say, I want this, I need this for myself, for my patients, for my world. And you can't. So you become disempowered.
Right.
And I think you just gave one of the key tools to empowerment for nurses or for anybody that's listening to this. One of the key tools is to feel included,
Yes.
right? To have your
Inclusion.
dignity and your inner power seen
Yes.
by others. And therefore, you're comfortable enough to say, I don't like this.
Yeah.
Don't do this. This is what I think is better.
Yeah.
So I love that idea of community. I'm curating this conference, Power Up Nursing. And as I pull together amazing speakers, including Liliane Devry, um, as I pull these speakers together, I realize that what we really are offering nurses who come to this is a community of professionals and human beings who are ready to be heard,
Yes.
are ready to do things that their heart wants to do, not what they think is right, not what they think will be rewarded, but what they want to do. And I think that has a whole lot to do with what, as you just said, is about feeling included in a community that gives you power.
Right, right. And hence what I want to lean on there is that many people go to conferences, to lunch and learns, to things like that, and it get all hyped up. And at the end of it, they put that little folder or all their papers and everything in a drawer, and they don't go back to them 10 years later and go, "Oh yeah, I remember this thing." What our purpose, I think, in doing this, and I know as a speaker there, I am very strongly the person who says it doesn't end here. It does not end here. You don't just walk away from the conference and go back to the way life was. This is life changing. This is about, we're going to create opportunities for people to connect and to maintain that connection. For one thing, I'm donating some memberships to my Join the Movement, Nurses Reclaim Life, which is about staying connected. So I want to create as many of those nurses to come and stay created so that they're connected, so they can have that conversation on a weekly basis. You just need to show up for an hour a week, and you're like, here are my peeps. Here's where I can safely say what I'm thinking. Here's where I can get some great ideas, celebrate the wins that I have during the week, and share my struggles and ask for help where I need them. This is power.
And connection, that's a word I just want to stop
Yeah.
everyone for just a moment and say, connection changes everything. Connection changes everything in relationships, in health, in career. And until you wake up and are able to say, who am I going to connect to today? And what is my intention in that connection?
I love it.
Right?
Yeah.
You won't see the progress that you want in your life.
Yeah.
Obviously, Alive in Healthcare offers nurses a connect. We always hear about networking. Yeah,
Not networking.
I can collect 1,000 business cards at a conference.
Yes. Yes.
But I end up coming home with one or two connections that live here,
yes.
that I know I can pick up the phone and move forward and progress. Yes. So connection is really, really critical. Really, the word itself just makes me feel better. I'm really well connected. I feel connected today. It's important.
Yeah. And what you're pointing to in connection, it takes two or more to connect. It's not one person connecting, right? Otherwise you're throwing out the fishing line and trying to catch a fish that doesn't want to be connected, right? I mean, you've got to make sure that you're connecting with the right person for the right intentions, and creating. Well, I work on this with people in relationships. What's the third entity? What's that relationship about? What do you want in that relationship? What can you give in that relationship? And I just heard something 2 days ago with one of the coaches that I work with, saying, when we're in a struggle, when we're in a turmoil, when things are not going well, which happen to all of us every day, or not. And he said the thing that we need to do is be of service. Being of service is so important. So when we're in that place, how can, if I'm struggling as a nurse, how can I go and serve somebody else who's a nurse? And then in turn, it will come back to me. And that's a law. It's just the law of attraction. It's just the way it works.
And connection doesn't necessarily have to just be people, right? You can be connected to God. You can be connected to service. You can be connected to, I volunteer with the Boy Scouts. It's a connection.
Yes.
But it's funny because I'm involved right now very closely with a company that is called Yakko Connected Community Care. And we're trying to really set up how does connection contribute to human health? And it's funny. And I think it might be just a male thing. I'm not sure. I do believe in genetic propensities to different types of behaviors. But I can give someone a phone, put an app on it, right?
Yes.
And my male counterpart will say, yay, they're connected. And I'm like, no.
No.
I want to see them say something meaningful to their caregiver that indicates they're taking care of themselves before I check that they're connected. Yes. Having an app on your phone is not connection, right?
No.
Having a person, even in your own home, is not connection.
No.
Being an elder and having a caregiver come in once a week to make sure you have food in your refrigerator and your dishes are done is not connection that produces health.
No.
And for nurses, going to the job, seeing your coworkers, helping your patients, talking to your management is not connection.
No.
Connection has to have the intent of a purpose, of something better, of improvement.
Mm-hmm.
That's really important to think about.
Yeah.
Connection is a very rich word.
Well, it brings me back to a conference that I ran, my own conference, which was called Leading from Humanity.
Ah,
And it was all
nice.
about the place of saying we all fundamentally, we all need to be seen, heard, and acknowledged.
Mm-hmm.
We all need that.
Mm-hmm.
And when we can reciprocate that, when we can give it back to somebody else, that to me is where the connection happens.
Yeah, and I know you've heard me talk about dignity, right? I
Yes,
know
I was
you've
going to go there because I think that's, the words are so important. So yes, talk about dignity. I want to hear it again.
Well, yeah, and ever since my earliest days, that I was involved, I guess it was under Clinton. Oh my God, I'm dating myself. But under Clinton, we had a committee for minority women's health, and I was blessed when I was at McGee Women's Hospital to be able to sit on that committee. And, there were Pacific Islanders, African Americans, Caribbean Americans, of course, an amazing array of various Latino and Hispanic people. And everyone was often in conflict, like really often in conflict. And the conflict was about why are so-and-so being treated worse than someone else, and it really later on I became more aware that this is really not about the color of the skin or whether you're a man or a woman or a transgender. It's really about us being able to see the innate dignity in each other, right? To be able to see, not agree with, but be able to see that you are worth something, that you were created, that you're worth something. Maybe your behavior is something that doesn't really work in society, or maybe I don't agree with it, but oh my gosh, you have inner dignity. And when somebody feels that they are respected and honored as a person, they begin to be able to relax a little bit and be able to give and take and compromise more.
Mm-hmm.
And I just always invite people to think about their own defense mechanisms. When do you get most upset? When do you get most angry? It's truly when you feel that your inner worth is questioned, that your inner worth is questioned.
True.
It's never that your husband is complaining that your kitchen is messy or that you're complaining that his bathroom is messy. You don't blow up. You blow up because you're saying, are you calling me dirty?
Yeah.
Are you calling me unable to keep my life together?
Yeah. Yeah. And there's that defense mechanism that comes in.
Right. And so
Yeah.
I think nursing, oh my gosh, especially during COVID, and that kind of has trickled for years now following the intensity of that a lot of nurses were not seen and they were much treated as commodities. That mask and everything took away your dignity, took
Oh,
away
for
your
sure.
humanity.
Yeah.
And when you take that away, everything gets ugly. And
Yeah.
so one of the things that I think Power Up Nursing, which is a whole lot, it's more than just this conference. It's a whole platform of bringing people together and connecting them, organizations such as yours, et cetera. What we're striving to do is say, hey, everybody's worth something. And now you take that worth, you take that innate power that you have, power up, change your life first, get what you want first. And that from position of stability and happiness, go change the world. And maybe
Yeah.
I sound very rose-colored glasses. I wear pink ones, just
That's right.
emphasize that, but it's possible, personally and professionally.
Yes. And I think what you pointed to, which was very important, I don't want people to miss this, is you need to do the work yourself and
Mm,
then move into helping others. You can't be of help to others unless or the profession until you have solidified what you want.
mhm.
Um, yeah, absolutely. It's the inner work. And I want to go to the place of I can hear some nurses in the background. I can, the energy, I can just hear it, going, I'm too tired for this. Like it's just, this is just too hard. And those belief systems get in the way. And so, yes, going back to basic 101, of the foundational needs that we have. Are you drinking water? Are you sleeping? Are you
Mhm.
eating, foods that are not processed? Are are you connecting with the human need to connect with others, to be connected and supported? Like all those things, the foundational things need to be answered first. And and I think what happens when we attend things like Power Up Nursing, for me, what I see is that there's a longing again for something more,
Mhm.
right? And so then that's the place that I say, okay, I need to do this for myself, and I need to do it for the bigger purpose.
Yeah. And I wanted to address what you basically just said about taking a nap and drinking enough water and getting to the gym and learning to love your body, losing weight if you need to. I can't tell you how many nurses I know that are overweight. They spend all of their days complaining and thinking about it.
Yeah.
Um, it's really about taking care of what you think are your priorities. And I think there's a word comfort. And, I want to promise everyone that's coming to this conference that we're not going to make you jump up and say, hey, I'm here. Let me give energy. Let me have power. I
Yeah.
hate that kind of woo woo stuff. I don't
Yep.
like it. There will be options for you to experience different things, but I'm not one of those people. For me, my power comes from feeling comfortable with the people around me, comfortable in myself. And the entire Power Up nursing experience is to get you to a place of comfort and a place of honest satisfaction, and to be able to leave saying, I am going to take this feeling and make sure I replicate it at work, in my
Yeah.
home, etc. And I think comfort, drinking water. How many nurses will run a shift thirsty because they have to, because they have patients, because people's lives depend on them?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not comfort. Comfort
No.
is learning how to move around that. Or they wear
Right.
stupid shoes, or their
Yes.
uniforms are uncomfortable. Those are all things that get to your essential ability to be happy.
Yeah. The well-being. The well-being. Yes, and I want to talk about comfort zone, because sometimes we all have different comfort zones, and we have to the comfort zone we need to check in is this comfort zone serving me?
Mm-hmm.
Because we have comfort zones that are not serving me, right?
Yep.
I mean, there are days, sure, you want to stay in your PJs all day and you want to just slouch on the couch. I mean, we all get those days. But when that becomes a habit and a condition of life that we live in, that's a comfort zone, that's an escape. It's not
Mm-hmm.
serving me. So comfort zones are really tricky, because I hear people like, I'm just comfortable doing that. I'm just
Yeah.
comfortable just going home, not connecting with anybody, just getting to my PJs and just you know grab my whatever easy food and watch something until I fall asleep in front of the
Usually
TV.
junk food that makes you
It
feel
is.
even worse, right?
Well, isn't that
Yeah.
easy food? Unless we're living in the tropics and we could just easy food is getting right off the tree. Oh wow, that's so sweet. But but yeah, it's so let's kind of move into, so we get the problem, we get the challenges, we get what brings people alive, which is
Hmm.
hence the name of my company, Alive in Healthcare.
Which
Um,
I love.
yeah, it's just it's just a little background on that. When I was working with somebody in branding, we had to find something that not only made it real for my clients, but it made it real for me.
Hmm.
It had to work both ways. And for me, if I'm not feeling alive, I'm not present for my clients. So
Exactly.
that's
That's
exactly it.
beautiful.
Yeah. And the
Hmm.
same thing with nurses, right? If we're not alive, we're not present for our patients. We're not present for our coworkers, right? We're not present for our family.
We're not connected. Go
We're
back
not
to that
connected.
word. We're
Yeah.
not
We're not
connected.
connected. So I want to go to the place of um, powerful nurses. What does that even mean? What does it mean to be power up nursing? What does that
Hmm.
look like? And I think of, Leanne's one nurse that, and Kathleen, I can think of Bartholomew, Leanne Meyer. These are nurses that stepped into something bigger than themselves, um, and and are fueled by that power. But I look at
Fuel's a
even,
good word. Hmm.
yeah, fueled, and how can we refuel, right? I look at an
Right.
example of, because I've been working with some nurse managers in South Africa, and I think of one in particular, who she listens to these live streams or little things that I put out and get stressed at them, and sent me a message the other day and just saying, I'm listening to you and I'm feeling good about going to work. I'm feeling like I'm ready to take on the next wins of the day. And I think to myself, there's somebody who's using this to power themselves up and to empower other nurses on her floor. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, and I really invite everyone that's listening not to think of power as control, not to think of
Oh,
power
no.
as political, because many of us do. Even those thinking, okay, I'll get power at this conference and I'll become a nurse manager.
Right.
Yes, you can, but
Yes, and
that's not what the power is that I'm referring to, or that most of the speakers that are coming are referring to. I like your analogy of getting out of bed in the morning. Do you have power to do that? Do you have purpose in getting up? There are some mornings, and my life has not been easy. Very few parts of it. I've had 4th stage cancer. I've been in abusive situations. I've had the whole wonderful inventory of crap.
right.
But rarely have I not wanted to get out of bed in the morning with the hope that I could do something great for myself and for the people I cared about. And that is why I'm an honorary nurse to so many of my friends, because I think it's the same character of nursing. I think that's what it draws. What draws people to nursing is to serve. Some people are almost beatific about it. I heard yesterday Audrey Boyce say, a wonderful nurse that does work culture for nurses, say she went through hell, so much, to become a registered nurse. She's from the Caribbean. She had a lot of challenges to get to work. Painful challenges, financial challenges. She said, but the first time she went into the room and she said, "Hello, my name is Audrey and I'm your nurse," she could hardly hold back the tears. That's power. Okay. To own everything that you have and shine with that pride. My pride, it's taken me, 6 decades to get here. My pride is, I believe I shine God's will to help people, to make people feel better physically and emotionally. And so for me, tapping into my power is tapping into that ability to serve people and to give them the optimism back that they've lost,
Yes.
whether it's in their health or whether it's in their life. You, whoever's listening, need to find that power, that shine. People will say to me, "Tanya, you glow." It's like, whoa, I wish I was saying that's a new man in my life. But no, it's the same God energy.
Yes.
I glow because I am just so damn happy to
Yes.
be here this long. When I've lost best friends, my brother, my entire family, they're all gone. Why am I here?
And look how you don't hold on to that.
Exactly.
You don't forget it. Nobody's asking you to forget it, but you don't hold on. You don't let it rule your life.
That ruins your power. It ruins
Right.
your shine. It's like putting a towel on a lamp. You can do it for a little while if that gives you comfort, but that's just not the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
It's
think this is,
interesting.
I want everybody to know, to come to Power Up. And as a matter of fact, Lillian and I discussed this. I am putting up right after this call a code. If you go to www.powerupnursing.com and put ALIVE, ALIVEN, you will get $300 off the registration. It's only $7.99. This is an amazing deal for 3 days. That includes all your food, all your events, all your materials, and the most amazing roster of human beings. So please join us, really.
Yeah.
I'm kind of emotional right now because I just am getting a sense of the kind of work that can be done with you.
Yeah. And if it's one small thing you do for yourself, right?
Oh,
If that's the first step that you take to do something for yourself, and you're not alone. That's key. You're not alone in this. You come alone, you will not be alone for long. Trust me. We won't let that happen. And and whatever you need. I want to go to the definition of power that I pulled up, just as pulling up from a dictionary, is the capacity. And I love the word capacity because that's where your fuel is being used, right? The capacity or ability to direct or influence the behavior of others or the course of events.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
and the quote unquote here is, she had me under her power. Um, how beautiful is that, in the sense where we talk about nursing and empowering each other? You
Mm-hmm.
know, when I think of the term, let's use words here, sisterhood. Um, what does that even mean? To me, sisterhood is supporting each other no matter what. And if I am out on a mission today to empower everybody I run into, whether
Mm-hmm.
they take it or not is up to them. But if I'm on that mission to do that as my intention for the day, how beautiful is that?
Yeah. And, sisterhood, as it comes back from the 60s and the whole
Mm,
political power behind it, is really about finding each other in order to influence the events and the things that happen to you.
yeah.
And that, in many respects, sisterhood, brotherhood, is really what we both do in our professional lives. And what this Power Up Nursing gathering is all about is finding that hood, right? Even the expression in Black America of the hood is about
Yes.
finding power in a place.
Yes. Yes. The hood
So
is
I'm
your people.
excited. Yeah.
Yeah, the hood is your people, right?
Yeah, your
Um,
power up hood.
yeah, the power up hood. That's our next event. Yeah. And and imagine what can be created when we put all these powerful minds together.
Hmm.
Um, I think we've come to the realization, and if we haven't, maybe we need to look at that. That nursing is not something we're trying to fix. It is something that we are creating in its new chapter. And I think that alone is a conversation. And my invitation, actually, to people coming to the Power Up event, or if they're not coming, started anywhere, is to start to have the conversations. You
Hmm.
don't have to have a conversation where you know the answers. The conversations are simply about talking about what matters, what's important, and listening. And I always say the richest conversations I have are the ones where I walk away with more questions than I came in with.
Yes, indeed.
I really do. I thrive on some of my communities that I'm part of, where I just walk away and go, wow, I wonder
Yeah,
now.
I mean, I'm sitting here the same way, Lillian. I'm
Yeah,
sitting here saying, wow, all the stuff I had to jump, the stuff you made me think that I hadn't thought of.
yeah,
That's what learning is. You
yes,
know, if you say you're an expert, that's just BS. Yeah, you can know a lot more than the average person knows, but once you believe that no one knows more than you are in my opinion, the definition of stupidity, right? There's
yeah,
always learning more from learning with. And I mean, that's why great science always occurs in communities of great minded people. And I think, really, that's what there's three of us that originally thought this whole Power Up Nursing platform. As you know, Leanne Meyer, who
yeah.
is a 50-year veteran career nurse who has nothing but this whole concept of nursing isn't broken, but nursing isn't what it can be,
Hmm.
way of
Hmm.
looking at it. So she's a part of it. I'm all about using words
Yes.
and media. And then the third person involved is Dr. Alba Rodriguez. She's a PhD neuroscientist who believes that the future of health comes from the way we think, the way we train our brain, and that nurses are super good at that.
Yes.
They help patients rethink their pain and situations every day, but they never really do it for themselves. So it is a very powerful triad. And now we're joined by people like you, Kathleen Bartholomew, Kim Evans, John Silver, all the people from Nurses Transforming Healthcare that
Yep.
say, look, this is an inclusive movement. This is a movement where nothing less than the health of the world is at stake. Again, nothing less than the health of our world is at stake. And I
Mm.
can't think of anything better to work on than
Yes.
connecting to you
Yes. And the
guys.
connecting with the people that are going to serve us, going back to
Hmm.
that comfort, right?
Yeah.
Um, I love, I want to play with words a little bit, because often what I hear is that things are happening to us.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a perspective.
Mm-hmm.
What if we were to switch that perspective? And I do perspective work on the floor where I actually put people, standing on the floor in these little pie pieces. And I say, what do you know from this place of the things are happening to me? Then I have them switch over and I go, so now I want you to look at things are happening for me. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's such a nice shift.
How is that? How does that shift my way of thinking and how does
Mm-hmm.
that serve me and what's possible there? Then I go to life is happening with me. Just a change of one word, right? What does that bring up?
Mm-hmm.
And then lastly, but probably not least, is life is happening through me,
Wow, that is powerful. Yeah,
right?
very cool.
I mean, who are we but one
Mm-hmm.
little piece of massive things happening in this world, and things are happening through us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Isn't
It's
there so much?
great things are happening. I always say this to the kids. Great things are happening in spite of you. You're
Yes,
doing your best attempts to block this amazing stuff from happening in your life, but you know what? In spite of you, it's happening.
I love it. I think I'm going to add that one in my repertoire here. In spite of me, yeah.
Yeah, because so many people, and COVID has given nurses and everyone else tremendous ability to say, well, because of COVID, well,
Uh-huh.
because of the way people acted, because of the regulations, I can't do this, or I don't feel this way anymore, or I'm too tired to change
Yeah,
things. And
yeah,
I'm not, believe me, I'm not belittling. I'm one that could have laid in bed, for
yeah.
a year, and practically did on, when I look back at what I could have been doing.
Right.
But it's time to stop that. Nothing happens to you. Even, it just doesn't. You're born into this world and you're a part of a flow of energy, and you're happening in that energy. I love this idea, it happens through you, and in
Mm,
many respects in spite of you. So I think, that's just something I really want to think about after our conversation today.
yeah. It's so
I love from the Bible, it says, uh, make, there, don't let any weapons harm you, right?
mhm,
You don't need to have things hurt you. And the whole idea is for you to stop and ask yourself, are you a weapon of self-destruction
mm,
yourself?
yes,
And I think,
yes,
I think most of the time we are.
yeah, yeah, yes. And we are in moments, and those are the moments we turn around and be of service to others, so that
Hmm.
we can get out of that funk. Um, what I've really learned through the years of connecting with people, and I'll call them the power up nursing people, because I think that they belong there, whether they're there or not. Um, I've discovered how much magnificence. Did I just make up a word? Magnificence.
I
Um,
like it. I think you did.
yeah, uh, the others have, and when I can just go, wow, I see Tanya doing this, I see Leanne doing this, I see Kathleen doing this, I see Judy doing this, and first of all, it empowers me to see others powered up. I think
Hmm.
that's really important, and from there, it's like, what's possible? I think changing our frame of mind from what can't be done to what is possible that we may never have thought of is the beginning, the land of
Wow. Yeah.
possibility.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't know what you don't know.
That's right.
And if you think for a minute, you know what job satisfaction is, you don't, sweeties. I'm talking
No,
to the world out there.
yeah,
If you think what you know love is, you don't. You need to be in your place, wanting good things for you, and then just allowing those things to happen. Going in, I love that whole saying, you don't know what you don't know,
yeah,
and you struggle trying to figure it out instead of allowing it to become wisdom. That's why I love reading. I'm still one of those weird people that reads. The kids always ask me, well, why don't you just watch that on television? Or why don't you just pick up YouTube and see it? And I'm like, you know, when you let words into your head, they change and they become yours. When I watch images, those are somebody's meanings and they're never mine.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've convinced them because I've actually seen them pick up, and I'm not being like egotistical about it. I've actually seen them pick up more books and tell me about it. My grandkids live with me, and the little 7-year-old girl picked up a book called Charlie and the Magic Crayon,
Uh-huh.
and she was like, wow, if I would have seen this on YouTube, it would have been a book about a little kid drawing houses with his crayon.
Right.
But now that I read it, I think I can make things happen. I swear to
Uh,
God.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the difference between reading and
Right.
watching,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
connecting, connecting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and thinking beyond what just is.
Mm-hmm. That's really, and here's the thing, okay? I'm going to get on a soapbox for a minute. Nurses always think beyond what is. That's why they're better than doctors at saving people's lives.
Uh-huh.
They think beyond what's in the record. They think beyond what they see.
Yes.
It's very few. Remember that? Oh, what was that series about the guy, the doctor? Doctor was it called? That he was on drugs, but he was really a great diagnostician.
Oh,
You
yeah, I
know,
don't remember his name.
I can't
But
remember. It
yeah.
was a great series.
Yeah.
Nurses are naturally like that. I used to watch
Yes.
that and say, I know nurses do that. Like we don't
Yeah.
have to glorify this doctor.
Right.
And they do it for patients every single day, really.
Yeah.
Maybe when they're not tired or maybe when they're not angry, but when they're
Yeah.
on with their purpose
Well,
as a nurse.
and this is where I point to, Tanya, that how important it is to work with someone
Hmm.
to help you see how that can serve you on a
Hmm.
personal level,
How
because we're
you can be
so
your patient.
yeah, because we're so good over there. But when we stop, we need to turn the mirror, or look in the mirror and start looking at ourselves. And I got to tell you, I mean, I work with nurses. I coach them through the process. The miracles that come out of it are phenomenal.
I can only
But
imagine, Leanne.
but I don't just I don't say that that's what they need. They have to want it first of all.
Hmm. Hmm.
And for me, having been 25 plus years in coaching,
Hmm.
I still work with a coach. I still have my community of coaches. I still have
Yeah,
communities
yeah,
of nurses that I meet
yeah.
with every Saturday morning. Like I am,
It's a second opinion.
it's a sounding board. It's a, you know, listen to me because I can't listen to myself sometimes.
Hmm.
What are
Yeah.
my thoughts? And one of the big key things that has magnified in this time now is mental health.
Hmm.
You know, and I talk about it as mental fitness. We go to the
I
gym to work
saw
on,
that on something.
yeah, we
That's
go to work
cool.
on our bodies. It's time to work out our minds, and it's a
Hmm.
lot easier. Is that a bird?
It is a bird. I'm not ADHD. I've been like poking about a bit. My one bird somehow got out of her cage and she's been like, I'm afraid she's going to bite my toes to get attention. So she's decided to scream instead. Um,
That's funny.
but yes, hopefully she will be quiet.
Well, I always say
The
in
cat
coaching,
ran
we
away,
say
by the way. The cat ran
the
away.
cat
She's
ran
a
away. That's
Boston cockatoo with a very big claw, and
that's
the cat
hilarious.
knows to stay away. No connection there. No connection there.
In coaching, we use that as level 3 listening. So when I hear the bird, okay, I
Yeah.
listen to the bird and I go, "What's the message there?" And I think the message that needs to come up right now, as it's coming through me, see, it's coming through me right now, is listen to even a bird finding his voice.
Yeah.
The voice
Because that's
needs to
all
be
we
heard.
have.
So the message the bird is giving us out there right now is, this is time for your voice to be heard.
Love it. Love it.
That's what's
Love it.
happening through me. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, love it. What kind of bird is it?
She's a Goffin cockatoo. So
Oh,
she's very smart. She
yeah,
can talk. She can make fun of the way I speak. She can play basketball. She's a being. She's a creature with
yes,
and that's once again, the essence of nursing. I've seen so many nurses treat criminals, treat pedophiles, and treat them with decency because it's a being.
Yes.
And that's one of the powers that I get from my association with nurses. And that is, everybody has a right to wellness, and nurses are a conduit to that wellness. And once they are able to return that wellness to themselves, their power to change and influence global health will be unbounded. And that's why I'm curating. That's why I'm struggling, all the time to get this meeting to really work. And that's it exactly. Because once nurses are powered up in the significant and beautiful ways that we've just talked to over the past 45 minutes,
Yeah.
once they're like that, there's really, it's boundless, the changes that can happen when people who innately care work at changing the world. It's pretty cool stuff.
I want to play with your words there. You've used both words that are coming to mind here, is change and influence.
Mm-hmm.
And when somebody steps in to want to change something, it seems so huge. It seems so difficult. However, influencing indicates that you're not alone doing it, that you are part of something bigger. And it reminds me of a time when I was talking to a group of nurses in a nursing leadership circle I was running. And I pointed that everybody is a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And, somebody said, I'm not a leader. I'm a bedside nurse. I'm not a leader. And I said, well, if somebody's sitting there with their arms crossed and rolling their eyes, they are leading somebody else in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody just got up in their chairs and sat properly.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I never said that being a leader was had to be a good leader, but we are always leading. And if you want to use another term, we're always influencing. So how are our actions, our contribution, are stepping into to coming to events like this or having those deep conversations, influencing others?
Any situation, right? And I have a friend who's a nurse, Susan Davis, who has a company, Code Prep, which she goes in to help people understand that you don't have to wait for the the life-saving doctor to be there to do AED or to save a life. In that moment, the person who's cleaning the room should be there, should be leading the charge, right?
Yes.
That it's really about finding that courage in you as a nurse.
Yes.
To do what is right. And so many of us feel stampeded by circumstances, by the hospital we work for, by the management we have to listen to, by everything that's happening in our world. But when we find that courage and we think about it as saving a life, and that individual that you talked about, that's our power. That's leadership. Dr. Carol Biggs, who will also be with us, she is the Senior Vice President and Chief CNO of a large network here, Jackson Health in Miami, an amazing healthcare system. It restored my faith in hospital-based wellness. But in any event, her presentation, until this moment, I didn't realize how powerful it is. Her keynote, her opening presentation is, every nurse is a leader.
Yes.
And for her, it's a student nurse, it's an LPN. They lead life-saving energy every single day, contribute to it, part of the team that does it. They are every bit as important as that CNO of that hospital. And that's the message, guys. That's the message.
Yeah.
Come with us. Like, just have some fun with us. First of all, if you're not subscribing to Power Up Nursing, Doesn't cost you a thing. Just www.powerupnursing.com. Give us your email. You'll be a part of us going forward. Like I said, we're a platform. We'll introduce you to great coaches like Lillian and others who can get you through dark times into bright. And then we have events. Our next one is June 22nd to the 24th. That's where you get a $300 discount if you put in a live. And we also, November 4th through 10th, have an amazing Power Up Nursing Caribbean cruise. So we want to flourish, and we want to flourish while making really good things happen. So starting with you guys.
Yeah. I want to challenge you on a word. You've got me excited by the consciousness of our words. When you talk about courage, I get the courage. And there's something, and I go back to your story about the nurse who, comes in and says, "Hi, I'm Audrey and I'm your nurse today." And the word that comes up for me is belief. That in that moment, was it courage or was it truly a belief that she was there?
And able.
Yes. Which goes back to the definition of power, which is that capacity or ability to direct or influence the behavior of others. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's belief is so key to what drives us.
If we faith too, right?
Yes.
And faith too.
Yes. Yeah.
But I love that because even in that instance, as I was talking about Code Prep and Susan Davis, that whole concept of you have courage, but it's because you've practiced.
Yes.
And everyone should practice saving lives. You don't wait for, the on-call team to save a life.
Right.
Because you only got 2 minutes to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not my job, or it's not my patient, or it's not my whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's the world is ours.
That's nice. Yeah. Yeah.
These are great conversations. And what is it that we really need to, bring to the table in the next few minutes before we end this call? I mean, we've talked about power. We've talked the importance of being there. We've talked about the importance of community, of dignity, of, camaraderie. That word wasn't used, but I look at that as the community of camaraderie, lightening up.
Yeah.
I think we, and maybe the fact that nursing is beyond our shift.
Nice.
Yeah. It's who we are.
Yeah, it's who we are. I mean, I think healthcare, I don't have a registered nurse title, but I'm a healthcare provider.
Mm-hmm.
I am. I've done it for 35 years.
Yeah.
People come to me more than they go to their own doctors for resources.
Mm-hmm.
That's who I am. It's who I am when I wake up. It's who I am when I go to bed. It's who I am when I'm at a pool party, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Once a nurse, always a nurse, everywhere a nurse. It's just the nature of it. But you asked, like, what can we say in a couple minutes that is powerful, influential? And I would say this, that word courage comes back to me. It is, if you're listening to this, to have the courage to do something for yourself that will move you to a better place, a place that you've always wanted to be, where you feel stronger, more beautiful, more powerful, more connected to the things that are important. And I know this sounds marketing hokey, but have the courage to register for Power Up Nursing. Have the courage to connect with other women who will help you find your voice, to help you listen to your own truth, and connect. Courage. How about this? Have the courage to connect.
Yes.
Because
it's connect.
Vulnerable. It's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. And what that points to is, what have you been doing all along that needs to shift? Because if we keep doing the same thing, definition of insanity, right? And expect things to change, it won't. So it's about stepping into doing something different for yourself right now. Where are these nurses coming from, Tanya? Are they I'm coming from Canada. So.
Actually, currently, it's kind of interesting. I would say 60% are Florida and the
Sure.
rest are
I mean, that's
national.
always with
Yeah.
home base for sure.
Yeah, home base. You don't have to fly anywhere, and
Yeah.
it's less expensive that way. But they're coming from everywhere, and
Yeah.
I'm hoping that this and other last minute types of promotions get them. I just talked to a nurse. So we have a couple. We have somebody from Honolulu. We've got people from hopefully more than one person from California. But the other thing that I've discovered is that post pandemic, people think everything is kind of maybe happen, maybe not happen. So I'm not going to commit.
Yes.
And I need you guys that are on the fence to commit, please, so that we
Yes.
can have the best room for this conference,
Right.
the best people, the best food. Everything comes down to you making a commitment to be with us, to shine,
Hmm.
to power up. So that's my
Yeah.
kind of final words
Right.
before we say goodbye.
Yeah. Before we meet until the next time.
Yes, until the
Um,
next time.
until the next time. Yeah. And I want to maybe focus just the last couple of minutes here on what you will walk away with. I think, like I said, you can walk away with just a raw experience,
Mhm.
or you can walk away with solid things. And to me, and you can add on to this, Tanya, you're going to walk away with, first of all, let's set the intention. Do you want to walk away with two strong connections? Do
Mhm.
you want to walk away with a community you want to be a part of? Do you want to walk away with a new sense of direction for yourself, and
Mhm.
how will you use that direction? That's really important to connect with somebody at the conference, whether it's one of the speakers or one of the participants, to say, I want to be held accountable to now take this and move it
Mhm.
forward.
Now, I will tell you something. You didn't bring this up, but I was a university professor and I still am at Florida International University. I am one that always, and I'm a consultant, so I am one that always has a plan. So my commitment to everybody to attend, including you,
Mhm.
is to have a plan from the first few moments that we meet to the very last day that we're together, to time in the future, a plan where you choose three things, just like you said, to
Yeah.
take away and to continue to work on.
Yeah.
And that plan will be on paper. It'll be worksheets for everyone, not online,
Yes.
just old school. Use your brain, connect to a pen, write
Yeah.
it down. And that for me is the heart of the conference. Making your intentions known to yourself, finding the people, because there will be people and organizations and companies that will be there that will help you in those intentions,
Yes.
and then have a plan of action before you walk out of that room on the 24th. So
I love
that's my commitment to everybody that
it. Yeah.
comes.
Yeah.
Like it's
I
like
love
a
it.
school teacher,
Yeah.
but it's important.
So I'm actually gonna jump in and say, if you are not clear on why you should be there or what your intentions would be, I'm offering you an opportunity to reach out to me and let's have a conversation.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I just spontaneously am doing that because I really think it's important. And even for those who have signed up already, if you're not clear on your intentions, let's have that conversation.
Hmm.
I'm ready to have that conversation because it's so, so, so important that you get what you need out of this. It's not, power up nursing that's getting what they need. Sure, it's a win-win for everybody, but we want to make sure that you get what you need, that you're walking away with clear intent, or you're walking in with clear intentions and
Hmm.
walking out with the tools to make that happen.
Yeah, walking in with intention, walking out with a plan of action.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the best way to live, and that's the best way to achieve any goal.
And we do it for our patients. We have care plans,
Yeah, from the very
right?
beginning. And you have discharge plans from the very
Exactly.
beginning. Yeah.
Time to do it on yourself. Do a care plan
Mhm.
for yourself. Tanya, it's been a real pleasure.
I
I'm
know
always
I'm
excited about
writing more notes
yeah.
than
Yes. And Tanya's going to do the live code very shortly. So
yes, I'm
I
putting
put
it
in
up
the
right
chat.
after we get off. After I pick up the bird, give her
Yes.
something to eat and put her back.
Yeah, so go to powerupnursing.com. I've put it in the chat. Use the promo code ALIVE after this call and sign up. And like I said, this is not a hoax. Reach out to me. Let's work on your intentions and what you're going to get out of this. All right.
Thank you so, so much.
All right,
You,
Tanya.
my dear Lillian, and everyone that's listened to this. I am so proud to be a part of it.
Great. All right. Universal hug.
I will.
Thank you. Take care, everybody. And see you at the Power Up.